It's happening again, as this is unprecedented from these Habs prospects, as Alexander Zhirovsky once again gets a point as he's over a point per game as an 18-year-old in the KHL. Michael Hage has 7 points through 2 games this year, and it's not just those guys. There have been some other prospects absolutely showing out like crazy for Montreal, and we also got to talk about some of the most recent roster moves, as Montreal has all but confirmed the starting lineup on opening night. So much great stuff to get into, and let's start right there with the biggest moves today. And you can see Montreal went Beck, Fleury, and Xhekaj, Adam, Engstrom outright sent to Laval because they are waiver exempt. But the thing is, Kaapo Kähkönen and Sammy Blais are both not waiver exempt, so they have to pass through waivers. Now, there is a bit of a concern here, simply because there is a precedent for Kaapo Kähkönen to get claimed. Phoenix Copley was claimed recently, another goalie on a similar tier. Even other goalies on waivers today, like Nico Daws and Anderson, and there's a few other goalies around the league that have reportedly already garnered some interest. So we'll have to keep a close eye there. It's going to be Jacob Fowler's net anyway, but that does kind of, it would kind of suck if he went too. But Sammy Blais is another guy I want to talk about because I thought he had a phenomenal final game of the preseason. That kind of roughness, that edge that he has. Hey, I mean, like this guy could very well be a valuable player for Montreal come later in the season as a roster filler. Now, I still think Fleury and Xhekaj is more likely to get the call up over Sammy Blais because you don't want to have to pass it through waivers again. By the way, also Michael Bezzetta's on waivers, and so is Kaiden Primo. So around the league, so maybe if some team looks to claim Sammy Blais, maybe we claim Bezzetta. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but hey, you never know. There's some interesting stuff here, but I do want to talk about what this means for the starting lineup on opening night because there's been a lot of questions. What are the lines going to be, right? We saw some very different lines. The last couple of games of preseason, it was kind of Bolduc with Dach and Gallagher, and then Veleno taking Bolduc's spot with Dach and Gallagher. Laine was playing with like Evans and Anderson down on that fourth line as it would be on opening night. So there's a lot of questions there, but I do want to point out what Stu Cowan had to say, and I actually think I like this lineup more than the rest. And he said, here's what the Habs roster will probably look like on opening night and Wednesday. Caufield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Newhook, Kappen, and Demidov. Now, to be fair, Newhook, Kappen, and Demidov, I mean, I like this connection right here. These two boys they're clicking, right? And Oliver Kapanen really proven himself. Well, whether is the word I'm looking for, that actually is going to be the second line, it's yet to be seen. It very well could be the third line, because we have Bolduc, Dach, Laine too, right? So if it is Bolduc, Dach, Laine, I think that would be the second line, but I think it's safe to say that very well could be the middle six, but there still are questions, like where does Patrik Laine actually fit on opening night? Is he going to go back with Bolduc and Dach? It sure seems like Newhook, Kapanen, and Demidov is the line that Marty's going to run with. He talked about how that line was clicking. He likes what Kapanen brings. He liked what he saw from that line. So they're going to stick together. Second line, third line, I don't think it matters. The big question, I think, is whether they're going to keep Laine with Bolduc and Dach, with Dach, or if they're going to put Laine kind of on that fourth line with like Evans and Anderson, or they're going to mess with that again. I really liked Laine's effort in our final preseason game, especially at 5v5. I thought he was more physically engaged. Like, I think Laine's in for a big season, but it makes more sense to put him with a playmaker in Dach, a play driver, and a guy who's more physical, who can also cover defensively in Bolduc. So, yet to be seen. Very interesting. The D pairings, I think we know. I think it is going to be Xhekaj's spot starting the season as well, but Stu basically putting out there what I think it's going to be, and I wanted to share it with you, though I would say I think Dach's line will be the second line, but as we know with Habs hockey and Marty's coaching style, whatever line is playing better in a certain game, you're just going to give them more leeway, going to put them back out there, right? So if Laine's line's doing great, they're going to be the second line in terms of time on ice. If it's Demidov, Newhook, they're going to be the ones. But those are the final moves. We're going to have to keep an eye on waivers. Let me know what you guys think about that down below, as we got to move on to some other Habs prospects. And I am so excited to talk about this because holy crap, these guys are going nuts. And actually, before I even get into Michael Hage and I get into Alexander Zhirovsky, we might be doing videos on some other guys yet to be seen, but keep an eye out. Even one of our guys, Sam Harris, a 2023 draft pick. He's like 20, he's 21 years old now, but he had a natural hat trick today. We had LJ Mooney getting his first goal. Philip Eriksson has, I think, what is he at? Like 11 points now in his first 9 games with like 5 or 6 goals. All these guys are doing great, but we got to focus on the 2 guys that we think are going to make the biggest impact the soonest for the Montreal Canadiens. And we got to start here with Michael Hage. 7 points. You're not reading that wrong. 7 points in his first 2 games in the NCAA this year. Now, they were playing a team that I think was Mercyhurst. I think that's the team name. Regardless, they're not a great team that he was going up against. But look, you take what you can get. You got to show out. You got to go out there and play your best, right? And the first game, he had 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, run the clips. I mean, there's one of his one-timers. Mercyhurst. Yes, I was correct. There's a one-timer. Here he is taking a nice receiving pass, putting it top cheddar. And then here he is with a nice one-time pass to the front of the net where Horkoff buries it. Michael Hage has looked nasty with this one-timer. This is something we saw last year too. Skating out on the rush very well and making some plays into the front of the net. And that is why I'm so excited for him, right? And I want to go into this too. This is from Ryan Ma Scouting on Twitter. A great account, by the way. Give him a follow if you come across him, but Habs fans have been clamoring this offseason for a potential 2C, and Michael Hage was one of the most impactful players in the NCAA last season on a weaker than usual Michigan team. By the way, this Michigan team this year is different. This team looks good, some really good prospects. Now, I know it's just a 2-game sample against a not-so-great school, but my goodness, keep an eye out. But you can look at Michael Hage's player card here. Production, 93rd percentile, total 88th. Now, whether it's percentile or not, I'll just say grade 88 out of 100. 91 out of 100 in passing. His shot is only a 51, but let me just show you this one-timer again that he absolutely blasts. Something that he has been working on and something that could very well come in handy. Again, the production is great, the transition, the efficiency score, he's really good. Again, his shooting efficiency was so great. 6 foot 189, and this was last year. This year, I'm so excited to see what else Michael Hage has in store because a 7.2 game start to this season. Again, I don't want to put too crazy high hopes, right? Because a lot of the time, if you look at a list of your top 10 prospects, top 15 prospects, whatever, go back and look at some of the ones the Habs passed. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but I'm saying that a lot of those guys don't pan out. And when you only have a certain amount of space on the roster, a lot of these guys really aren't going to take that leap. Look at Joshua Waugh, for example. I mean, we were quite high on him. Yes, he was a 5th-round pick, but in the last year or two, he shot himself up the rankings, and he's just not been able to crack the team. But Michael Hage, I think, is on an absolute, I don't know if I want to say star trajectory, because again, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I kind of don't mind it. Like, I really think Hage looks like a solid NHLer. Definitely some 2C upside there if things start to click even more for him. So I'm very excited about him. But again, it's not just him. We got to talk about Alexander Zhuravsky, who is the big story of today because he got another point. And the big thing with Zhuravsky is not just like, oh, yeah, he's just kind of racking up little scrappy points. No, the dude is insanely skilled. Like, Alexander Zhuravsky, this is unprecedented, right? The 7 points in 2 games for Michael Hage, he was really good at the start of last year, too. He did something very interesting, too. But to have him click so strongly with Zhuravsky again, like it's happening again, isn't it? This feels like Ivan Demidov 2.0. Maybe not with the same skill ceiling, but Alexander Zhuravsky's production has been absolutely ridiculous. Yes, he is 18. Yes, he scored points in all 3 games this season. Yes, he is Alexander Zhuravsky, and he's a 2nd-round pick that the Habs staff had as a mid-1st-round pick. He's 18 years old, getting points and logging big minutes. The dude has spent time on the first line this year. Nothing but green flags. Roll the highlights again. 3-game point streak. I mean, we saw his 2 goals earlier in the, or his goal earlier in the season. And look at this nice little pass to the bumper spot for the nice snipe. And you know, there's another angle of this even. You can see just skating away. Very, very smart backhand sauce pass there. It was so nice. And Alexander Zhuravsky, when he's out there, the big thing with him is, again, his skill is so evident, right? He makes it look completely effortless. And that's why I say there's nothing but green flags, because when he's on the ice, you notice him. You see him. You see what he's doing. He's creating opportunities for other players. He looks elite on the power play. He has a couple points on the power play. He just creates these opportunities that not everyone can, right? He sees the game a step ahead. His IQ there on the offensive end is great. And again, is his defense his biggest calling card? Well, no, you're probably not going to see too many defensive highlights from him, if any. And if you watch the games, I wouldn't say he's like extremely poor or anything. I would say, look, he's fine. Again, he's young. He's 18. I would say it's not a concern, at least. So, you know, there's some really, really good upside here with Zhuravsky. But again, I just can't help but feel the guy who slipped further than I think people would have had him going in the draft. Some people did have him mocked in the 30s. I think most places did. But again, the Habs brass had him as a 1st-round pick. Some other places had him as a mid-late 1st-round pick. 50 points in 45 MHL games. And remember, Demidov had 60 points in 30 MHL games. But like, the skill is just so obvious. And when he comes to the KHL and the coach is like, this dude looks good. Like, he's making me play him. The hustle is there. The work ethic's there. The skill is through the roof. You're giving him these minutes. He is producing. What else do you need to see from this guy? Like, it's crazy to me that he is blowing expectations out of the water so early. I think I speak for most of us when we say if our 2nd-round pick in Russia was just doing okay in the KHL, like, you know, maybe like if he had like 3 points in his first 6 or 7 games with like a goal, you'd be like, okay, that's pretty solid, right? And again, he could very well cool off. But this hot start is crazy. Like, again, the minutes, the production, and the skill that jumps off the page against legit KHL opponents is something that I as much as Juravsky looked good, I almost didn't expect it to be this easy, this fast for him. And again, it could slow down, but I am so excited. Leave me your thoughts on Juravsky, on Hage, on the Habs move. So many big things coming. That'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. Hit that free subscribe button down below if you're watching every single day and you want to stay up to date every single day because the season's coming just a few days away. Thank you for watching the video. I've been your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you in the next one.